Disclaimer. The following content may be disturbing to some viewers. Viewer discretion is advised. As Furuya was sitting in his room, he says in his mind, "My girlfriend died. It was an unfortunate accident. She slipped down a flight of stairs. My phone is continuously flooded with messages from worried friends. I thought I'd be able to see her every day. I took that for granted. I wasn't able to do anything for her. I couldn't accept that my girlfriend was no longer in this world. That's why I haven't gone to school for the past 4 days. That's what everyone thinks happened. But the truth is, I killed her." Then Furuya says happily, "Free at last. It's like a dream come true now that she's gone. I can finally live a normal life again. I can say whatever I want, I can keep the curtains closed, and I can go out whenever I want without being questioned." Furuya recalls saying, "Back then, I had no idea things would turn out this way." In flashback, Sara says, "Hey Furuya-kun, you dropped your eraser." Furuya replies, "Oh, sorry about that. Thank you recalling Sara," Furuya says. In his mind, Sara was the cutest girl at our school. She smelled like flowers, and she had long eyebrows that matched perfectly with her big round eyes. With her kind voice, I'm certain she captivated not only me, but all the boys around her. That's why never in my wildest dreams did I think she would confess her feelings to me. When I realized this wonderful girl would be my girlfriend, my head was in the clouds. Until that day at least. Recalling the day, Furuya says, "I was hiding in my apartment from Sara when I saw she was sending me messages upon messages. The fact is, when I accepted her proposal to become my girlfriend, I didn't know what I was getting myself into. But Sara was like my second shadow, one that never left me." Furuya recalls one day when he was out alone in a shopping mall. He was going to the second floor, but he met Sara on the first floor stairways. Seeing Sara, Furuya says, getting angry, "I've had enough. You follow me everywhere, and you even installed listening devices. How could you put a GPS tracker on me without my consent? You even pointed a knife at me. What the hell do you want from me?" Sara says calmly, "What do I want from you? Well, you have me, and I would do anything for you, so you don't need anything else, right? You know, I check where my wallet is every half hour. It's the same as that. You'd get anxious if something important goes missing, right? Do as I say and I won't hurt you, okay?" Furuya gets angry and says, "I can't fall asleep without sleeping pills because of you. I'm really going to report you to the police if you keep doing this, so just break up with me." Sara didn't even let Furuya complete his sentence and said, "Never. I'll never break up with you, even if I'm dead." On hearing this, Furuya shudders and says, pushing Sara, "Get away from me." As Furuya pushed Sara, she fell down the flight of stairs. Recalling the time, Furuya said, "Seeing Sara laying unconscious on the floor, I fled as soon as I could from the scene. Luckily for me, there was no witness. The police ruled out the possibility of foul play, and her death was announced as an accident." Back in Furuya's room, as he was recalling the incident, he says happily, "With her dead, I can finally live in peace. What should I do today? Go out alone? Oh, but I skipped school today. I'm in the center of attention now since she was my girlfriend. It'd be a pain to act sad." Just then Furuya recalled when Sara asked him, "How about a date with me?" Furuya replies normally, "A date?" Then Furuya realizes he's seeing Sara and gets up startled, saying, "Sara, didn't you die?" Sara replies, "That sounds like a line from a movie script. I did die." She shows him she doesn't have any feet. "I don't have any feet, see?" Realizing this, Furuya calms down, saying, "You're a spirit." Sara replies, "Yup, I love you too much. So I came to see you." Furuya gets up, runs to the kitchen, and grabs the salt packet. Then, as he throws salt at her, he yells in anger, "Leave me alone, go away!" Sara replies calmly, "Salt won't get rid of me. You're just making a mess." Furuya says angrily, "Shut up. Do you know what I had to live with all this time?" Sara replies in an innocent tone, "Kinda, I guess." Furuya says, scolding, "Because of you, my mental health is in ruins. I wake up terrified every day. I'm even scared to meet and talk to people. Are you still going to make me feel that way even in death?" Sara replies with a sad face, "Oh, I'm sorry for that. I really am," she says as she rises, "but I'm still yours, even if you push me away, hate me, or kill me." Then she smiles and says, "Because I still love you despite all that. I don't care that you're a murderer." As Furuya was sweating and shocked, Sara says, "Since physics don't apply to me anymore, I'll be with you even when you're on the toilet or in the bath. I can't wait," Furuya says, angry and pleading, "Please just leave me alone. It was my fault, okay? I'm nearing my limit." Sara says coldly, "Oh yeah, it's not like I'm haunting you out of free will." Furuya says, "Huh?" Confused, he listens as Sara says, like, "Duh. If I could move on to the other world, I would have already. If you want me to go away, you gotta make sure I have no regrets left." Furuya opens the door of the bathroom and comes into the room. As he turns the lights on, he says in his mind, "How is this possible? I'm seeing spirits." But much more terrifying than the supernatural phenomenon floating before my eyes is the thought I can't break up with her, even after her death. Then Furuya says, "And how do I do that?" Just then Sara shows up saying, "Well, you see, I have a request for you. She leans closer to Furuya and says, you killed me after all. The least you could do is hear me out. Seeing her smirking face, Furuya shudders and shoves Sara, but his hands go through her as Sara says, too bad. You can't touch me. I'm a spirit. So, you can't kill me again. If you want to break up with me so badly, then you have no choice but to listen. Seeing Furuya is a little calm, Sara says, okay, my Mr. Murderer? Furuya says, fine. Then he says in his mind, beggars can't be choosers. The next day, as they were walking along the park, Sara says, yay, we're on a date. Furuya says, shocked. A date? Sara says happily, don't be so quiet, Furuya-kun. Furuya replies coldly, no one can see you. It'd be weird if I started talking to myself. As Sara spins in front of Furuya, she says, there's a place I've always wanted to go. Meanwhile, Furuya says in his mind, if I'm stuck with her even after her death, I'd much rather listen to her and make her move on. That's why I'm out here trying to fulfill her request. But the next day, as they were at a cafe, Furuya said in his mind, but that turned out to be just another date. Was I being too cautious? Meanwhile, on reaching the cafe, Sara says, we're here. It's this cafe. Seeing the cafe, Furuya says, here? But it's no different than the next one down the street. Sara says, I heard the shortcakes are really delicious. Seeing Sara smiling, Furuya says in his mind, like this, she looks like an ordinary girl. Sara says, smiling, let's go. As they enter, seeing Furuya is alone, the waitress says, smiling, welcome. Seat for one. Realizing Sara can't be seen, Furuya says, the waitress says, gesturing, this way. Please have a seat at the back. As Furuya orders a coffee and a shortcake, he says in his mind, I don't feel like having anything sweet. He says to Sara, is this what you wanted to eat? Sara says, smiling, yeah. I heard the ice cream isn't just your average whipped cream. Realizing Sara is a spirit, Furuya says, but you can't eat this, right? Sara says, it's fine. Just tell me what you think about the taste. After taking a bite of the cake, Furuya says in his mind, still pretty tasty though. Then he says to Sara, it tastes like a regular shortcake. Sara gets shocked and says, what? No way, that can't be true. You men are all like this? Give me some. Furuya says, but Sara says, feed me, maybe I'll be able to taste it. Furuya says, but I'll look like a weirdo. But Sara insists, this is part of my request too. Seeing no other option, Furuya says, fine. But as he brings the fork to her mouth, it passes through her body. Seeing this, Sara says with sadness tainting her smile, ha ha ha, I guess it really doesn't work, duh. Seeing her sad, tainted smile, Furuya says, for a second, Sara looked sad. Along the way, Furuya says in his mind, today was the first time we spent a day like this. I sensed something was off about Sara the day we started dating after all. For better or worse, Sara did always have a smile on her face, so it caught me by surprise. It may only seem natural, but I guess Sara can have a frown on her face too. As Furuya and Sara came out of the cafe, Sara says, that cafe had a really nice atmosphere. I'm glad we went together. You never replied to my messages when I was alive, so I thought I couldn't invite you. Furuya is shocked and says in his mind, was that how it was? Then he says to Sara, I'm sorry. Sara smiles, saying, it's okay, that's all in the past now. Suddenly, Furuya feels something is off and says to himself, strange, this doesn't seem right. Was Sara always so normal? In my head, Sara was always a stalker, and she always kept tabs on me. She didn't seem like the one for dates, but right now, I think she's cute. Suddenly, Furuya recalls what he did and says, how dare I think like that? I was the one who killed her? Suddenly, Sara says, hey, you know, I knew I stood out in school when I was alive. Furuya looks shocked as Sara says, that's why I thought other girls would have their eyes on you because of me, and I panicked. I also wanted to spend my days normally and tranquilly like this. I'm really sorry for what I've done. Furuya is stunned as he says in his mind, this is the first time I've heard her feelings. No, it's because I've never asked. Back then I was desperately trying to protect myself. Suddenly he recalls and says to himself, hold on, does that mean I was wrong? Did I overthink everything? Was this all my fault? Suddenly Furuya asks Sara, do you hate me? Sara smiles, saying, if we go on dates like this, then I'm glad I died. But I have one more request. Please don't turn yourself in, because I'm not mad at you for killing me. Furuya becomes skeptical as he says in his mind, see? Sara says it's not your fault either. You don't need to feel guilty. Sara was a stalker. If I made one wrong move, she might have killed me. I did nothing wrong. Nothing. Can I really say that? As the days went by, Furuya would often go out on dates with Sara. One day, Furuya recalled the times and says to himself, after that, all of Sara's requests were of things that most couples do. She didn't show any stalking behavior either. She was just an ordinary cute girlfriend. The only thing that made her different was the fact she was dead. Finally, Furuya returned back to school. Furuya says in his mind, when I returned to school, there was a vase of flowers sitting on Sara's desk. Someone changed the water every day. No one at school knew she was a stalker, and it was obvious she was loved by our classmates. Just then, the teacher says, "That's all for today." As Furuya was speaking in his mind, "Right now I have no idea why I was so scared of her back then." Suddenly, Sara says from behind him, "Shall we go home?" Furuya realizes now he doesn't get scared of her sudden appearance and says to himself, maybe it's because she can't physically harm me now. That could be it, but suddenly Furuya asks Sara, "By the way, what do you want for your birthday?" Sara replies, stunned, "You remember?" Furuya says, "Of course I do." Sara says, smiling, "Anything is fine. I'm just happy you remembered." Furuya says, "That won't do." Sara thinks for a second, then says, Then I want to hold your hand, I guess? We can just place them together. They don't have to actually touch." Furuya says coldly, "Sure," and offers his hand. Seeing her happy, Furuya says in his mind, "Sara's happy with just this." Her expression changed with such a trivial action of mine. As Sara's hand passes through Furuya's hand, he says in his mind, even though she'll never be able to touch my hand again, she's satisfied with just pretending to be my girlfriend. No, and Furuya begins to cry. Seeing Furuya, Sara says, "Furuya-kun, what's wrong? Why are you crying?" Furuya says, in his mind, "It's my fault she can only pretend." As Furuya skips his class, Sara say, "Hey, are you sure you don't need to be in class?" Furuya says, "Yeah." Then Sara says, "It's rare for you to skip class." Furuya again only says, "Yeah." Then Sara says, "You've only been answering with yeah." Furuya again says, "Yeah." Then suddenly Furuya says, "Say, can spirits touch each other?" Sara says, confused, "Huh?" Then she says, "Yeah, we can. You can't see the others, but I bump into those who also haven't moved on from time to time." Suddenly, Furuya begins to climb the terrace grill. Seeing him, Sara says, shocked, "What are you doing? It's dangerous." As Furuya stands on the edge of the terrace wall, he says, "Sara, I'm sorry we couldn't hold hands on your birthday." Seeing Furuya, Sara calls out, "Wait, stop. I don't care about that." Furuya says, no matter the reason, I just can't live with myself knowing I've killed another. I couldn't come off the sleeping pills even after you died. In fact, if I had to take more, it's not your fault I was suffering. It was my own. I didn't listen to your feelings, and I felt relieved you died back then. I'll never forgive myself for thinking that way. I can't save you by turning myself in. But I don't think I can live with this guilt any longer either. I finally understand now," Furuya says, smiling. "Sara, you did nothing wrong. It was my fault. I didn't consider your feelings. If I die, surely you could move on too. I'm sorry your boyfriend was someone like me." As Sara calls out, trying to catch hold of Furuya, Furuya jumps off. As Furuya was standing among the people, he sees his body and says, "That's my body." After his demise, Furuya says in his mind, "In the end, I turned into a spirit much faster than I expected." Just then, Furuya felt a tap on his shoulder, and as he turns around, he sees it's Sara, who was crying. So, Furuya says, "Sara." As Sara wipes her tears, she says to Furuya, "You're such an idiot." "Idiot?" Furuya pats Sara's head and says, "I'm sorry I made you sad. But now you can move on. There's no need for you to stick around me anymore, right?" Sara cries as she says, "But you didn't need to feel guilty. I was happy just being around you. There are so many things you can't do anymore, like when you were alive, Furuya says, "This is fine. It's the only way I can pay for my sins. Yeah, I'm the idiot that died for you." Just then, Sara's expression changes as she says with a smirk, "Yes, you're such a big idiot. I'm really surprised." As Furuya looks at Sara, shocked, Sara says, "Aren't I good at acting? Hey, now I can touch you all I want. Yay!" Furuya asks, shocked. "Wait, what?" Sara says, smiling. "Oh, are you surprised?" Sara's expression changes again as she says, "I was waiting for you to die this whole time. It's true I liked living with you, but it's meaningless if I can't touch you. I couldn't kill you by cursing you or throwing objects. So I thought hard about other ways to lead you to your demise. I couldn't come up with anything other than taking the irreversible step. I filled you with guilt so that you would eventually walk towards your demise, which was exactly what you did. That was fun." Seeing Furuya speechless, Sara says, "Oh, what's wrong? Cat got your tongue?" Furuya realizes what Sara did and says, "You tricked me?" Sara says coldly, "You went ahead and killed yourself. I didn't ask you to. If you're going to be haunted by something stupid like guilt, then your dumb mind shouldn't have killed me. But I guess that's what's cute about you. What's done is done." Furuya says in his mind, "You said I didn't do anything wrong, right? Then that makes everything your fault." Then Sara says, "Now, we're together again. You'll be stuck with me in the same realm for all eternity."